What is up, everybody? I am Zach Selby. We are back from the bye week, and let me tell you something, Kyle. Coming out of the bye week, I feel fresher than Michael Bublé coming out of hibernation to sing a Christmas song. I'm that hyped to be back in the building. What's been going on with you, man?
I'm not that, but I'm doing all right. I'm glad you're hyped up. I'm actually hyped up too. I'm recharged, reset, ready for the second half of the season. I do like Michael Bublé.
Who doesn't, honestly?
So I appreciate that reference.
Don't hear him once a year, which is why I'm so hyped.
I've never heard that before, and I think that is like the best reference we could have made to start the show, so thank you for that. I
came up with that last Friday, and I'm like, I gotta say this on the podcast. But we got a great show for you guys. You know, we're not just yucking it up over here. It is Giants Week, a rematch between the Washington football team and the New York Giants a few weeks ago. And before we get started, though, we have to remind everybody this is an official podcast of the Washington football team. You can check us out wherever you can find your podcast: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn. And YouTube. We're on YouTube now. In case you're able to see our beautiful faces, you can now check that out. You can check us out on the Twitters at Kyle F. Stackpole and Zach D. Selby, and you can find all of our wonderful work at WashingtonFootball.com. Kyle, just tell me a little bit about what's been going on with the team, because we gotta refresh these people on what's been going on with the team.
Yeah, there's a lot to catch up on, and a lot of it has to do with the wide receivers. First, we're going to start with Terry McLaurin, because that might have been maybe not the biggest news, but one of the biggest things from yesterday was that Landon Collins goes on IR with an Achilles injury, and he was one of the captains.
Yep.
So Coach Rivera announces yesterday that the players unanimously decided to make Terry McLaurin, second-year wide receiver, a captain. So kudos to him.
Yes,
well deserved. I mean, not one person has issue with this. I mean, he's been a stand-up guy since he came into the organization. He's one of the best players on the field, and now he's starting to develop into a leader both on and off the field. So what did you think of the news, and I guess what do you think will make Terry such a good captain?
Well, I think first of all is that he's such a genuinely good person, and that's one of the things that struck me ever since I joined this team last year. I mean, he's been a guy who is a hard worker. He's going to do the extra stuff to make sure that he's able to perform on game day. And so far, he's done a pretty good job of that, I would say. And I think that lunch pail mentality is exactly what's going to make him an ideal catchman for this team. Because he said whenever he got announced as the captain, because he didn't even know. Yeah. He didn't even know that he was going to that was going to happen. And he said, look, nothing changes for this team. I'm still going to come to work every day, and we expect everyone else here to do the same. And I think that's exactly what this team needs right now. I think, you're 2-5. You're coming off a good win against the Cowboys, but you're still 2-5, and you have a lot of work to do. So you need to I guess you would say, just come to work every day, do your job and let the results speak for themselves, which is exactly what Terry does day in and day out.
Yeah, and it was really interesting hearing Kyle Allen talk about Terry, because he said it twice. There's not often in receivers do you have someone who is like that passionate about winning and that passionate about leading, which is why you don't really see that many wide receivers as captains. So for him to, and Kyle Allen told him at the beginning of the year, he said, hey, you're someone who is looked up to on this team. You're one of the best offensive players, one of the best players on this team. You have to be able to step up and be a leader, because people respect you for your play, and they're going to listen to what you have to say as well. So really congrats to him. It's awesome. But there is some more wide receiver news. Yes, it looks like Chef Terry is going to get some more ingredients.
Some sous chefs, if you will.
Some sous chefs. Yeah, that's probably a better way to say it. But yeah, tell us about, who's back, who might be back, what this wide receiver group is shaping up like.
Well, we'll start out with some smaller news and then kind of crescendo up into the bigger news. Okay. So we have Robert Foster signed off of Green Bay's practice squad. He's been more active in practice now. He's gone through his protocols. He's going to, he might be available for this game against the Giants.
I think he should be.
Yeah. And then you have Isaiah Wright, who was injured against the Giants last time. No, it was the Cowboys. No, it was the Giants.
End of the Giants.
Yeah. And he looked pretty good in the individual period of practice. So we'll see what he does for the rest of the week. And then the big one is Steven Sims, designated to return. He's not off IR yet. He still has 20 days for them to decide whether or not they want to put him on the 53 or keep him off. Put him on IR for an extended amount of time after that. But from what I saw, Kyle, it looked like when he was catching, when he was running, he looked pretty healthy, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. And I just think that the fact that he practiced fully yesterday was huge. So, or I guess we're recording Thursday, so Wednesday's practice, he was full. Isaiah Wright was a limited participant. And so I know Coach Vera talks a lot about it's about how the player responds the next day. Mm-hmm. So how does Steven Sims look coming out for Thursday's practice? Yep. But if the injury report comes back and he practices fully again, it seems like it's going to be a similar situation to Brandon Sheriff a couple weeks ago when they activated him on Friday, and he was all good to go, and he played ever since. So that would be a huge boost for Washington. You forget, but Steven Sims was looked at as the number 2 receiver, like the clear-cut number 2 receiver, going into this season, and he didn't start off very strong. I know his average yards per catch was really high. I think it was like 17.2.
Yeah.
So that was solid, but he wasn't doing what he was doing at the end of last season. But it was also he had that foot injury, and it seemed to be bothering him in the Arizona game and definitely the Cleveland game, which is when Isaiah Wright started getting some more snaps. So what is Steven Sims going to add to this offense? And then just with these other guys too, what's this offense going to look like with these guys in there?
Well, I actually wrote a story about this that you can find on WashingtonFootball.com. And one of the things that I noticed is that whenever in those first 3 games that Steven Sims was active, the offense was spread a little bit more. I mean, the receivers weren't getting as much attention as they should probably, but the ball was getting spread around a lot more outside of Terry McLaurin. And I actually did some little math. I'm a journalist, but we do math indeed. Terry had 42% of the targets to all receivers, which you would expect because he's the number 1 receiver. But after Steven Sims got hurt, that jumped up to like 66%.
Yeah.
And that shows you that 1, Terry is doing well, obviously, and 2, that he's really their one and only receiver, productive-wise at least. I mean, you had Dontrell Lemon out there and a bunch of other, but I mean, they've been hurt at receiver. So, Terry has been that reliable piece. And, I think with Steven Sims coming back, I don't know how much, if he does come back for the Giants game, I don't know how much he's going to be able to contribute because it's his first game back after spending the last 4 weeks out. Mm-hmm. But I do think he'll give more options for Kyle Allen to throw to. I mean, he's been a reliable slot receiver for the past 2 years. Yeah. And I think he could do that again, and he maybe get 10 to 15, 20 snaps, but those will be valuable for this Giants to attack this Giants defense that held them to just 19 points a few weeks ago.
Definitely. I mean, I think if he's ready to go, I think he's going to play a lot, especially if Isaiah Wright isn't in there. I think you would like to ease them back, but with the receivers that they have, you have to get your best players out there. So we'll see. I mean, it's going to be exciting to see these next couple days. Before we hop into the next segment, wanted to highlight a story that you wrote, WashingtonFootball.com. Was it, I guess it was Monday?
It was Monday, yeah.
Monday. So earlier this week, what are you laughing at, Stevie? Anyway, so it was 5 ways Washington can improve entering the second half of the season. So we talked about they're 2-5, but they're right in the race for the NFC East. And the record of their next 4 opponents is 8-22-1. Mm-hmm. So a lot of opportunities. Yep. And then after that, the game, so their 5th game of that stretch is San Francisco, who's got a ton of injuries. So all of a sudden, that's looking like a winnable game. So what is the biggest thing that you think Washington needs to do to make a run during the second half?
Well, I wrote 5 things that I felt like Washington needed to address, but I think one of the more immediate needs is to find a viable replacement for Landon Collins. And it seems like they have that in Cam Curl. I mean, Cam Curl has been a guy who they've really loved since training camp. He's exceeded all of their expectations. He's versatile. He offers that position flex that Rivera just loves to dote on whenever he gets the chance. And I think this might be a chance for him to sort of break out a little bit. I think he's going to fill into that strong safety role pretty well. Given that Rivera even compared him to a young Kendall Fuller, which is some high praise.
Yeah, that surprised me.
And they also said that he wants to see what Jeremy Reeves has to do as well. So it might end up being a by committee position, but I do think that Cam Curl is going to get the most of those touches or most of those snaps. I'm interested to see what this secondary is going to look like because they're the best secondary in the league as far as statistically, as far as yards allowed, but Landon Collins, even though some would say he hasn't been performing as well as he normally would, but I do think that his presence is still going to be missed for sure. And I think Cam Curl could potentially fill in nice. We'll have to see what he does, though.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm going to stay with the defense. I think it's all about getting pressure. The 2 games that they've won, they sacked Carson Wentz 8 times, and they had, I think it was 6 against Dallas.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're not going to get that every game, but if you can, this defense is good enough to get 3 per game, maybe if you can even get 4. I mean, we've seen this defense be dominant, and not only with sacks, but just getting pressure and getting off the field on 3rd down, because this offense is limited. With the talent that it has, it's limited. I mean, it's starting to perform better. You see that with Kyle Allen, and you see with these weapons coming back, but the ceiling's only so high.
Yeah.
Whereas the defense right now, I mean, they're a top 5 defense in terms of yards allowed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what's to say you can't keep that going? You have the pieces to do it. So they really need to rely on that formula of playing good defense, establishing the run, because that hasn't been that good, and taking care of the ball. But I think first and foremost, you got to get after the quarterback, and there's a lot of opportunities this next month to do so.
Yeah, and since we're hyping people up, I'll hype you up. You're going to write a story about Cam Curl and the future here, and you also brought up in one of your stories that even though Chase Young hasn't gotten the sacks that everyone would expect him to, Javon Curse of the Tennessee Titans during his rookie year had most of his sacks after their bye week. Now, that's not saying that Chase Young's going to do the same thing, but it does say that as Jonathan Allen loves to say, sacks come in waves. And, maybe as the season starts to progress, offenses start to get a little more tired. Maybe Chase Young and his athleticism is going to be able to pay off, especially when you have a bunch of first-round picks that you have at your disposal to rush the passer. But I think, we're going to take a quick break right here. I think this is a good stopping point for us. But
I agree.
Before we break, I'm going to tell you guys that about 3,000 of you, will be at FedEx Field this Sunday against the Giants, which is awesome. We love you guys. We miss you. And we talked to some of them. Our team reporter Logan Campbell did, and she interviewed some of them. We're going to see what it's going to be like for them to come back to FedEx Field after being away for so long. Stick with us. At RTS, game day strategy doesn't stop when the whistle blows. RTS delivers smarter, more responsible waste and recycling services. As an official partner of the Washington football team, RTS is connecting the team and FedEx Field with sustainable solutions to care for the community and the environment. RTS, a better waste company. Find out more at rts.com.
Has your business been affected by COVID-19? Have you considered reducing or moving your office space? Then it's time to call Victory Van. We provide the best service and price with flexible options for your company's moving and storage needs. Visit victoryvan.com to get your free moving and storage quote today. For corporate storage and moving, it's always the right move to choose Victory Van. That's victoryvan.com. Victory Van Corporation, delivering excellence for 75 years and a proud partner of the Washington football team.
Finch Services Incorporated, recognized in its industry as a world-class organization, is the exclusive supplier of John Deere golf and sports turf maintenance equipment for the Mid-Atlantic region. In business since 1945, Finch helps golf course and sports turf managers maintain some of the most exclusive playing surfaces in the region. Experience the Finch advantage for yourself. Contact one of our golf and sports turf sales specialists to see how we can help you maintain your field of dreams. Go to finchturf.com for more information.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown. I'm Logan Campbell here with Washington football fan Tim Meek. Tim, thank you so much for joining us today, by the way. How are you doing today?
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. Excited for the game this weekend.
Me too. So how long have you been a Washington football fan for?
Well, I am in my 40s, so 40 plus years for this Redskins fan, Washington fan that's been out of market for that whole 40 years as well.
What have you missed the most about not being able to come to the stadium this season?
I miss the people, the fans, the camaraderie that we all have together, whether it be the tailgating or anything we do leading up to the game. A lot of these groups that we're involved in via social media is an outlet for us to get to know each other online, but then to actually meet these people at the games is just fun. And it's a big part of why I travel so far to come to these games.
Right, and you were telling me earlier, right before we started, that you live in Indiana and you are flying all the way to come to the game this Sunday. What makes you so dedicated to this team?
I just love the team. I mean, it's my greatest hobby. It's the thing that I've always enjoyed, even as a young kid, all the way through as an adult now. And like I said, I think it's just the experiences that I enjoy the most. I mean, the game, Obviously, we've had a lot of lows and down years, being a fan as an adult at least. But it's just the people. Like I said, usually, or especially with being out of market, I just don't run into other fellow Washington football fans. Not in the same context as like I do when I'm at the game. So it's a chance for me to be around the same people that share the same hobby and interest that I do, which is the Washington football team.
What is your favorite memory at FedEx Field?
Oh, wow. Well, I've got to go back to the first game that I had ever been to, which surprisingly enough at FedEx was only back in 2012, considering the number of games I've been to since. That was my very first time. And of course, it was RG3's rookie year, and they were playing the Cincinnati Bengals for the very first home opener. And there was so much electricity, and it was I had never been around that many fans of the team. So to hear a whole stadium chanting RG3 and just the hype for the game, even in a loss, the 38-31 loss that game, it was just so much fun. And there was so much excitement for the team itself back then. But like I said, through the years, I've just learned to accept, what I can control. And that's just having fun with my situations and the people I'm around, and trying to stay positive for the team through some tough times. So
You are coming back on Sunday. What are you looking forward to the most with finally getting to step foot into FedEx Field?
Well, I'm super excited to just be at the game. I was fortunate enough to go to the Cleveland game on the road earlier this year, and that was just so much fun. It was a little bit of getting back to normal, even though it was clearly not normal when you only have such a small percentage of people there. It didn't have the same electricity or buzz that a regular game typically has, but I loved every second of it. I loved seeing the guys on the field doing the stretches and the warm-ups pregame. It makes you feel a part of it, especially when there's nobody there. You really feel part of the experience. And even being at the road game, I see some of the road people that go to a lot of the games, and it was just nice seeing them. So this will be even better. Even with the limited fans, I'll know a lot of people and get to see some people that I haven't seen in a long time. And, we're fighting for first place, so the game itself should be fun too.
What are your predictions, Tim, for this Sunday as we take on the New York Giants?
I mean, we're going to get the win. I have no doubt. I'm not a huge rah-rah guy. I'm I keep a pretty level head when it comes to things, but I expect them to carry on what they were doing in the fourth quarter, where they were moving the ball pretty easy, and that defense is coming together strong. So I expect, even with just the limited fans we have, that the team maybe has a little extra pep in their step, and the defense can kind of feed off the crowd a little bit. And I expect it to be a pretty dominating performance, at least this Sunday.
Tim, thank you so much for joining me today. We wish you the safest travels, and we cannot wait to see you this Sunday at FedEx Field.
Take care.
I'm here with Robin Dyer, a Washington football fan. Robin, how long have you been a Washington football fan for?
Well, I'm getting ready to turn 55 on Monday, so I would say 55 years.
And are you a season ticket holder?
Yes, I'm going on my 22nd year.
What have you missed the most about not being able to come to FedEx Field this season?
I miss, two things. Living in North Carolina, I've only gotten to watch 2 games live, so I've been listening on the radio. So I missed that big time. And then also just the tailgating and the people I sit around just seeing the other fans. It's like, the last game, you're kind of sad and you can't wait to get back and see them all again.
And what are you looking forward to the most this Sunday? You're driving on up. You're finally going to be in the stands. What are you the most excited for?
I'm excited for a big win is what I'm excited for. And just some excitement. The weather looks like it's going to be beautiful. So I think it's going to be a great trip up there, and just looking forward to it. It's the first sporting event. I went to like a college league baseball game down here once, and that was about it since probably February when I was going to some baseball games. So I missed being there.
Well, we're so excited to have you with us on Sunday, Robin.
Sounds good. Thank you.
We are with, I really got to say, Washington football super fan Chris Bryant. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Hey, good. Nice to join you guys. Thank you for having me.
You've been coming to the games for such a long time. Do you have a favorite memory at FedEx Field?
I told some of my friends the other day, I went to a game in 2016 when we played the Dolphins, I was with my mom. So it was like one of the first times I got to go to a game in recent years with my mom. We ended up losing that game, but, the time that we spent before the game, tailgating, having fun, and then we were in section 1, row 1. So just having that experience with my mom was probably the best I've had so far.
So you are coming to FedEx Field on Sunday. What are you looking forward to the most?
I'm just getting in the stadium. I haven't been there. It feels like I haven't been there in years now. Just seeing FedEx Field again, seeing the players live. The cheerleaders are going to be there, seeing our first ladies again. Just having that overall experience to watch the team live. There's nothing like watching the team at FedEx Field. We've been watching them on TV all year, but watching them actually at FedEx Field is just no other better experience.
Chris, we played the Giants earlier this season, and we lost by 1 point, just 1 point. We're coming off a win against the Dallas Cowboys. We had the bye week in between. What are your predictions for this Sunday's game against the New York Giants?
There's no doubt in my mind that we are going to beat the New York Giants. We let that last game slip. We ended up going for 2 and falling up short, but there's no doubt in my mind this team is clicking. They're doing well, so I think we'll beat them by 2 touchdowns. That's my prediction.
Well, I love that energy, and I cannot wait for you to bring it this Sunday. I know I'm excited to meet you, and I know we are so excited to have you and all the fans back this Sunday at FedEx Field. If you see me, please stop me and say hi. I'd love to get to meet you in person.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Chris, for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, and thank you, Zach and Kyle, for having me on the Rundown today, and I can't wait to hear who you guys got coming up next on the Rundown. We'll be right back.
Couchgating, presented by the DC Lottery. Couchgating is the new tailgating. Enter to win a chance at a WFT DC Lottery fan pack. Celebrate your Couchgate by sharing a photo using hashtag CouchgatingDCL. To have your Couchgating photo featured on the Couchgating Wall of Fame, please post your photos on social media using the tags at Washington Football, at DC Lottery, and the hashtag CouchgatingDCL for consideration. Please note that not all photos will be accommodated on the Couchgating Wall of Fame, and all Couchgating photos are posted at the sole discretion of the Washington football team.
We're retiring our old name and launching a new kind of legend. The journey starts now. Visit WashingtonJourney.com for latest insider news related to the team rebrand.
Find adventure in an all-wheel drive Honda SUV, now on clearance. Like the turbocharged all-wheel drive CR-V, the versatile all-wheel drive HR-V, or the adventure-ready Passport and Pilot, both equipped with 3 different driving modes. Take back the driver's seat and find adventure with a rugged Honda SUV on clearance. When it comes to the best value, Honda leaves the others in the dust. See your local Honda dealer and start your adventure today. We're back here on the Rundown Podcast. Thanks again to Logan Campbell for interviewing all those wonderful fans again. We love you guys. We miss you. You help keep the lights on, and we really appreciate you guys. But we're going to go into some of the fan questions here. I think this is a segment that we really have come to enjoy since we started it. And we're just going to go jump right into it, and we're going to start off with at Hog Farmer Chris. Shout out to Chris,
who we just had on.
Yeah, exactly.
We had to include him again.
Yes. Will having fans in the stadium have an impact on the players and the game Sunday? Also, will there still be pumped up crowd noise?
So the second question, I actually don't know the answer to that.
I think there is.
There probably would be, right?
Yeah, I think it's at a certain decibel level, but I do think there is a certain amount. Don't quote me on that, though, but I think.
That would make sense, just because there's only 3,000 people.
Exactly.
But will it have an impact? I think it will. I mean, we talked to Kyle Allen yesterday and Coach Rivera, and they were both talking about how that extra energy that is, even if it is just those 3,000. They were talking about when they were in Cleveland, and Cleveland had some fans in the stands and how that made a difference. And Kyle Allen was talking about how when they're at home and they score a touchdown and you don't hear any cheers, it's weird. You have to create your own energy. So I think this is a great game to have fans, start coming in and cheering us on. Division opponent. Yeah. Big game against the Giants, winnable game, obviously. So it's going to be fun to have you guys in the stands, and I do think it's going to make a difference, especially when they've played so long without it. It's going to be like, okay, now we're starting to feel that normal atmosphere. It's not the same, but it's starting to get a taste of what could be on the horizon.
Yeah, Terry said it would give the players a pep in their step, and I think that's true. And I think this is the right game for it, I would say. I mean, this is a big game. I mean, Rivera said it, Terry has said it. All the players have really said this is the big game, not just because it's the next game, but because it's the division opponent. And in the words of one of my favorite movies, Major League, you've won one. Now you win two. That's what you call a winning streak. It has happened before.
And it will happen again.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to go to the next one, to @Crouching Tiger with 2 eyes, by the way. Antonio Gibson, or is that? Did you mess that up?
No, there's 2 eyes. I didn't mess that up. I copy and pasted that.
Anyway, will Antonio Gibson break 100 yards rushing 2 weeks in a row?
Ooh, call me crazy, but I say yes.
You're not crazy.
100 yards is a lot, but okay. So he had it 2 weeks ago, and I think the biggest thing that would allow him to get over the century mark is just the amount of times he carries the ball. So he had a career high 20 rushes against Dallas, and that's a number that he could sit around for the rest of the year. I mean, Coach Rivera said it probably about a month ago now, when he was averaging about 15 carries a game, or maybe it was 15 touches, and he was saying, hey, that's not that many touches. We're trying to give him more. We want him to get more of a workload. And now with having that extra week off, I mean, it's a lot for rookies to come in here, even with the no in-person offseason. But you go through training camp, and there really has been no break. So to finally get a week off, get to rest your legs, I think it's going to be big for Antonio Gibson. And I think they're going to be able to run the ball.
Yeah.
I think that Kyle Allen's going to make enough plays, open up the field downfield, so that there's some open running lanes. So give me Antonio Gibson to break 100. Don't think it's going to be too much over 100, but I think he's going to have another big game.
Well, I'll just add a little bit to what you said, because I completely agree that there is a chance he could do it. I would say just the way they're going to use him is going to be a lot more interesting, because that 140-yard running he had against the Cowboys, that was a really beautifully executed play, and it was just fun to watch, honestly, because he was in a wide back situation. It ended up being kind of like a jet sweep, and he used his speed to just outrun everybody, and that's exciting. I think he's getting more comfortable. I think he's getting more acclimated to the running position overall, and the NFL as well. So I think the sky is the limit for this guy, and we've said it a lot, but I think that's really true. You want to go? You want to do the next two instead of the first two?
Yep, I do. So we got McCulloch 91XX, I guess.
There you go.
Does the offense have a plan to get Terry off of Bradbury this weekend? So I don't think they're going to design it that way to get James Bradbury off of Terry McLaurin, but I do think, and we talked about this earlier, having the receivers back is only going to help Terry, because without these guys in the lineup, Terry's the only guy. You can lock in on Terry and be like, we need to stop him. Whatever it takes, we got to stop him. And you probably still won't, because he showed it all year that he's going to get his. Yep. But to have someone, if Steven Sims is back, and if you can get Isaiah Wright back, and you have Robert Foster, there's more guys that you have to account for. And either you're going to let Terry beat you, or one of these other guys could have a big game. So he also played pretty well against the Giants anyway. It wasn't that Bradbury shut him down. So I think that there's no plan. I think Terry is a good enough of a player that he's going to get open regardless of who he's against.
Right.
But the other guys on the field, I think, are going to help too.
I also don't think it really matters to Terry. I think you have Darius Slay, who is on him, and then you have Patrick Peterson. He's used to it. You've had Marlon Humphrey. You've had Jalen Ramsey. You've had we all know the burnt toast that was Trayvon Diggs. I mean, he's probably still scraping the burnt toast off of himself from that game.
He had 2 interceptions against Philly though. Is he back? I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he's less burnt, but still, all the same, I don't think it matters, Terry. I think he knows that's what you expect out of a number 1 wide receiver, and he's just going to put up his numbers and produce, which he always does.
I agree. I got this last one. So this is I forgot to copy and paste the Twitter handle.
What a handle.
So I'm sorry about that. It was a really good question, though, so I kind of wish I could chat you out. But does winning the division really benefit us in any way? We're a rebuilding team. We don't need the playoffs. Plus, whoever we play will be a much more complete team than us.
So here's my argument for this. I understand some people saying, well, we don't want to win the playoffs because it's going to put us back in the draft and all that sort of stuff. But as a competitor, I don't really agree with that. And 2, let's say they do win the division. Let's say they get to the playoffs. I think that's going to show, 1, that this young team that Rivera is trying to build around has some talent that they can do that. And 2, I think that that's going to entice free agents to come here. I think some of the veterans are going to see, hey, this team they got something going here. Rivera has something that he was trying to build, and I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of what Rivera is building in Washington. And they're going to have the money to spend on that as well. I mean, I'm not really sure what the cap situation is going to be like with COVID and all that, but I do know that Washington's probably going to be a top 5 cap space holder, depending on what happens with the rest of the money. I think they're going to have the money to spend on some of these top tier guys that maybe want to come here. I think that's just where I stand on it. I think that you want to get in the playoffs as a player, and either way, you got to figure out what happens this year. And if you make it to the playoffs, great. If you don't, well, you can at least say that you put every effort to do that.
Yeah, I think this is a really good question. I mean, winning, when was winning ever a bad thing or not a good thing? Winning can only do good for whoever's on your team. The only drawback of winning would be if, say, Washington gave up draft capital to go get someone like a rental for a couple months and to try to win now. Yep. That wouldn't make a lot of sense. No. And Coach Rivera talked about that.
Yeah.
But it can only benefit you. I mean, I think it's a simple answer. The other drawback would be, hey, if you make the playoffs and you're 6-10, instead of getting a top 12 pick, now you're bumped into maybe the 20 range because you made the playoffs. But I think the young players developing and winning games overshadows or supersedes what you would lose in that draft pick. So I think it can benefit us in a ton of different ways, because it means all the young players that have been developing the first half of the season have really started to grow enough where they've finished the season strong. Because if Washington's going to make the playoffs, I mean, let's say the division champion is 7-9. I guess it could be 6-10 with how bad it's been, but 7-9. So that would mean we would have to go 5-4 the rest of the way. That would be a strong finish, especially with a couple of teams that we have to play in Seattle and Pittsburgh. So I think it's good. I mean, I keep saying it, and you can never. I mean, that's all I have to say. That's it.
Yeah. Enough said.
Enough said.
We're gonna move on to the segment that I think we all enjoy. The ones that people are clamoring for.
They are clamoring.
Who we got. It's 3 questions that we have about each game each week, and we're gonna start real quick here with more sacks plus turnovers for us. Kyle made these. He decided to throw in a little zinger there for us.
A little twist.
Will it be Washington or New York? Who you got?
So, as I talked about a little bit earlier, the 2 games that Washington won, they got after the quarterback, had a ton of sacks, and forced multiple turnovers. They did neither against the Giants last time. They did have the Kendall Fuller interception. That was big. It was in the end zone. But that was their only turnover, and they only had 1 sack of Daniel Jones, who entered the game as one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the NFL. And I get it. He only had 19 pass attempts because they were running the ball a lot. But still, you have to get after Daniel Jones, because when you get after him, he makes a ton of mistakes.
He does.
If you watched the game on Monday night against Tampa Bay, both throws, he was under duress. He was about to go down, and instead of taking the sack or throwing the ball away, he throws a pick. And Tampa Bay scores, and Tampa Bay ends up winning. So I think it's going to be Washington. I think they need to be able to do this. They need to be able to create turnovers and capitalize on them, and I think they will.
So I think the turnovers are going to be fine. I think Washington is going to be able to handle that with his secondary. With Kendall Fuller, I believe he still tie the lead with interceptions.
Yep.
And I think that more sack. I think maybe against the Cowboys, they had a little bit of a turning point. They were sort of going around that corner there, and may not get 6 sacks like they did last couple weeks ago, but maybe get 3 or 4. And I agree. I think Washington will be able to pull that one out. The next one. Well, it's going to be specifically Washington here. Better third down offense or third down defense? Who you got?
So Coach Rivera, he's talked a ton about, hey, our third down defense needs to be better. Our third down defense needs to be better. It really hasn't been that bad. I think it's top half of the league, and if it's not top half, it's 17th or 18th.
Right.
But I'm saying all that to say I think it's going to be the offense still. And I think it's more of a testament to what the offense has been able to do the past couple of weeks.
Okay.
They've been very good on third down.
They have.
Against the Giants and against Dallas. And I think that's because with Kyle Allen running the offense, you're getting more yards on first and second down, setting up third and manageable. So I think the third down offense is going to continue. I think with hopefully have some receivers back and they can help out on third downs too. So give me Washington again.
Well, I hear you, but I'm going to go against you. I'm going to say the defense, just because I think while the offense has been doing well, I think the defense is still further along than the offense.
That's true.
So I feel like they have fewer adjustments to make. I mean, the linebackers are playing better, I think, since Cole Holman's got back into the mix. I think the secondary is still playing well. The defensive line is as far as their run stopping is not bad, but I think they could do better. And obviously, if you get into third down situations, you hope to be in third and long, and that's when the pass rush comes in. That's when the sacks come in. So again, that kind of goes back to the first point: is that I think more sacks are going to be coming from this defensive line eventually. I think, and maybe the Giants game is going to be that opportunity. So I'm going to go with the defense here on this one. Not out of disrespect to the offense, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, last one. More pass attempts. Danny Jones or Kyle Allen? Who we got?
Well, you reminded me of this today. I mean, Kyle Allen threw, 42 times against the Giants a few weeks ago. So, Dan Jones didn't throw that many touches, didn't have that many attempts.
He only had 19, which is pretty wild.
And then, but Kyle Allen had 15 against the Cowboys.
Or 25, I think.
15
completions.
15. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. So, I'm going to go here with Kyle Allen. I think that this offense, it kind of goes into what you were saying with the second point. I think that this offense is doing a lot better things. I think they're figuring out how they want the run game to go. I think with having Stevenson potentially back and Isaiah Wright potentially back, I think that there's going to be more options. I think that they're going to be able to get open more often, and I think that the running game is going to be able to help them get those receivers open. I think, and plus Kyle Allen is an accurate enough passer that I have confidence in him. I'm going to go with Kyle Allen here.
Okay. I think I'm going to go with Daniel Jones. And I think the reason for this, in my opinion, is that the Giants were pretty successful running the ball against Washington last time.
Yep.
And the Giants entered that game as one of the worst rushing offenses in the NFL.
Yep.
So I think the defense, Jack Del Rio, they're feeling a little disrespected. They're saying, we allowed the Giants to run all over us.
They did.
Daniel
Jones.
Yeah, Daniel Jones too. I mean, the fact that he had that run. But even Devonta Freeman, they were just running the ball down Washington's throat in the third quarter. So I think they're going to really come out motivated. I think they're going to stuff the run from the jump, which is going to force Daniel Jones to attempt more passes. I also think, and call me crazy again, because Washington never plays from ahead. I mean, they did against Dallas. But I think they're going to get a lead. And I think they're going to start running the ball more, and you're going to have Daniel Jones playing from behind, and they're going to need to catch up. Just like Washington was really playing from behind. They were only playing down by one score against the Giants last time, but they were still down for a lot of the game and had to throw the ball. So I'm going to differ from you. I'm going to say Daniel Jones. So I think we're two different this week, one the same. So
I think
should be good.
I think it's a good amount of variety, but you know what time it is, right?
I don't know.
It's time to hear some plugs. Let's go. This is an official podcast of the Washington Football Team. You can check us out on Stitcher, Apple Podcast. Steve is over here laughing at me. Spotify. You can check us out on YouTube. You can check us out on the Twitters at Kyle F. Stackpole, Zach D. Selby. You can check out all of our wonderful work at the WashingtonFootball.com, and also check out Logan Campbell too. She does some great work, and everyone else that is on our team. We all do a fantastic job, and we are excited to see you. About 3,000 of you at FedEx Field for the Giants game. For Kyle F. Stackpole, I'm Zach Selby, and this has been The Rundown.
For more than 100 years, Chesapeake Employers Insurance has been helping Maryland businesses keep their workers safe. With competitive pricing and an AM Best A- financial strength rating, it's no surprise that Chesapeake Employers is Maryland's largest writer of workers' comp insurance.
At the end of every workday, someone's waiting for your safe return.
Connect with your agent or visit CEIWC.com.
Locally owned Novak is energizing the community in powerful ways. From sponsoring meals for first responders and medical professionals to donating generously to area food banks, Novak knows we're in this together. Novak and customers are funding crisis energy assistance by having their bills rounded up each month. Novak and employees are supporting local charities through Novak Helps. That's the power of working together. That's Novak.
And now, Time for another Honda clearance highlight. Jed was in mid-season form when his car went into early retirement. Looking to upgrade his roster to all-wheel drive, Jed went down to his local Honda dealer and scouted the CR-V, Pilot, Passport, and more. In the end, Jed saved his season by getting an HR-V with collapsible magic seats on clearance. Savvy stuff, Jed. Very savvy stuff.
Save your season with a clearance deal on an all-wheel drive Honda. See your local Honda dealer today.